So, hello, dear students. So, today in this series of lectures of science, where we were talking about and we were reading the chapter number 2 of science, that is components of food. So, here we'll move ahead today in this lecture. So, today, if you see, the food that we eat is not available in nature as it is. Okay, means whatever the food that we eat is not available in the nature as it is. Okay, so how do we eat? Rather, it goes a series of cleaning and handling processes, and ultimately we eat that food. Okay, so the food that is grown there in the field, let's say it's the field, this is the field. Okay, farm, what you can see. Okay, so the food that you are growing here, you are not eating that food as it is. Rather, the food what is there, it undergoes a series of cleaning and handling process, and ultimately we eat the food. Okay, so what are those cleaning and handling processes that we are going to talk here today? Okay, so the thing so the topic which you are going to see here is the cleaning and the handling processes. Okay, so basically if you see cleaning processes, so here I'm writing here cleaning processes of food. So what are those cleaning processes? Basically there are 4 cleaning processes. So rather I would say there are 5 cleaning processes through which we clean the food. Okay, so let's say what are those processes. So first one is the threshing. First one is the threshing. What is the threshing? So under this process we take a long stack of the grain. Let's say this is the stack of the grain. Let's say here this is the stack of the wheat, and you can see the grains of wheat are here. Okay, so how will you get these grains of wheat? So when this long stack of wheat, when we thresh it on the ground like this. Okay, this is the long stack of wheat. When we thresh it on the ground, then these grains are separated. Okay, so this process is called the threshing process. Okay, so under this process we take a long stack of the grain and we thresh it on the ground, and we separate the grains from the stalk. Okay, from the stack. Okay, so under this process, here I'm writing, under this process the grains are separated from the long stack by threshing on the ground. By threshing on the ground. So this process is called the threshing process. Basically you can see this process when we go in the in the countryside area of the villages. Okay, then there you can see this process of threshing. Here in the villages also we are doing this process of threshing. Okay, so when the crop is matured and when we cut the crop and we harvest the crop, then after we thresh it on the ground and we get the grains separated. Okay, so now the next process is winnowing. Next process is winnowing. What is this winnowing process? So under this process, what do we do when we have the stacks of grain? Now here you have the grain. In this process we are just separating the grains from the long stack, and you have the grains. These are the grains, and if you could see, let's say these are the grains which you have separated in the previous method. Okay, these are the grains which you have separated. Now again you can see these are the grains, but in between there are some other lighter particles also which you do not need. So how will you separate these lighter particles, means these small particles? How will you separate now? Because you need the cleaned grain, you need the pure grain. So how do you get these pure grains? You would get these by separating out these lighter particles, means these small particles you have to separate now. So how would you separate this? We will separate these by, if we take this on a dish here, let's say this is the dish, and slowly we throw it on the ground. Slowly we throw it on the ground, and from here we blow the air. From here we blow the air. So if you blow the air, let's say we are blowing the air from here now, okay, from here we blow the air, okay, by taking the bed seeds or having let's say a fan here. Just I keep a fan here, I place a fan here, and with the help of air from the fan, the lighter particles from this will be separated out. The lighter particles will go away, and the heavier particles of grain will come down. So this is how we will separate the lighter particles from the grain. Okay, so by the process of winnowing, we separate the lighter particles from the grains, and the heavier particles come down. Okay, so this is the process of winnowing. So this process is based on basically the weight. Okay, so here I am writing, this process is basically based on weight. This process is based on weight, where lighter particles are separated from the heavier one. Okay, we are separating the lighter particles from the heavier one. How do we do this? By blowing the air over it. By blowing the air over it. So this process is called the winnowing process. Okay, now we would be talking about the third cleaning process, and that is the sieving method. What is this sieving method? So keep writing also. Next process is sieving process. Seiving. Oh yeah, SIE. Sieving. So what is this sieving? Now you have the grains there. These are the grains. But still you are having some smaller particles here. But these are not small in size. These are same in size as these grains are there. Okay, means the grains are also there, and in between you have some smaller particles also here, and the weight of these small particles and the bigger one is same. So now by the winnowing process, these smaller particles are not separated out. Okay, still these smaller particles are there. Okay, but these are not lighter one. These cannot be separated only by blowing the air over it. So how would you separate these small particles now? So what do? We take a vessel like this. Okay, having a net here. Let's say we have their net. Okay, this is the net over there. Okay, this is the vessel. Okay, what do? We put all these particles here, then we shake it, and while we are shaking it, these smaller particles will come down now, and these heavier particles will remain upside here. So this is how, by the process of sieving, we can separate the particles by their size. Okay, means the particles which are having the smaller size will come down, and which are having the bigger size or the same size particle will remain up. So with this process we can separate the particles on the base of their shape, on the base of their you can say size and the numbers also. Okay, yes. So this process is called the sieving process. Okay, so here I am writing under this process, the particles are separated on the basis of you can say size and numbers. Yeah, on the basis of size. In this process we take a pan having a net, we take a pan having a net, and when we put the grains over there, and when we put grains over there and shake the pan, the particles having the smaller size will come down. Okay, the particles having smaller size come down and the bigger one remain up. So by this process we can separate the particles based on their size. So write this. Now we would be talking about the next cleaning process, and that is the hand picking, or simply by hand picking process also, by picking all the particles, by picking the particles which are not required there, we can pick them by our hands also. Okay, so this process is the hand picking process. Simple hand picking process. So right there, hand picking, that would be the number 4th one, hand picking. So by hand picking we can separate the particles based on their size, their shape and their color. By hand picking process, particles can be separated based on their size, shape, color also. Okay, different colored particles we can separate, etc. Okay, so this is the hand picking process. Okay, like we are making dal, cooking dal. So while you are cooking dal, you have the dal, so at that time also from the pulses you are separating the stone particles. So means the particles which are not required there, that you are separating only by the method of hand picking. So this is hand picking process. And the 5th one is, that is the series of steps now in the 5th one. Okay, 5th one, here you are not having a single method here, rather you have a series of steps. So these steps, let me write here, that is separation, sedimentation, filtration and decantation. Separation, then comes sedimentation, decantation and filtration. So these are the series of steps through which again we can clean. So how will you clean under this process? So separation, basically if you see, let's say I have a glass here, this is the tumbler, I will take a tumbler here. Okay, So in this I have three things now. Okay, I have some stones, some, sorry, you can say sand. So if I have sand here, I have the mixture of, here you have the sand particles. Then you have, this is water over the sand part. These are downside the sand particles. Okay, and then upside of this water you have the oil here. Okay, so basically if you see there, you have three layers. Okay, at the top you have the layer of oil, in between you have the layer of water, and at the bottom you have sand layer here. Okay, so now when I keep this glass or this tumbler here, okay, and these sand particles slowly I have the sand particles in this water. Okay, means this water is not pure here, rather this water is having some sand particles. So when I keep this glass here, so what will happen, these sand particles slowly will settle down here. Okay, means these sand particles which were there in which were mixed in the water there will settle down, so this process, this settling down process, this settling down of the heavier particles, settling down of the heavier particles is known as separation. Okay, and what is sediment, sorry, separation means, this is the separation means all the layers have been separated, means you have different layer of sand, you have different layer for the water, you have different layer for the oil. So this is separation. And what is sedimentation? Sedimentation means when the heavier particles are settling down. Heavier particle means what are the heavier particles here, like the sand particles. So these heavier particles are settling down. So this process of settling down of heavier particles is known as sedimentation. And now what is decantation? When I slowly just what is upside there, the layer of oil, when I slowly just pour this glass into some other flask, like suppose here I have one another glass, Sauterone glass like this. So when slowly just I pour the first layer in this glass, so this all whatever the oil is there, this all the oil will come here. So this process will be called the decantation, but this should be done slowly. Okay, means the layer of the oil will come here. Now you have a different layer, so this process is called the decantation. And now what is filtration? Now you have the mixture of water also, sand also. So how will you separate these two again? So again we can separate this by the process of filtration. We will take a filter paper or we will take a funnel here. So over this I pour this water here, and when I pour this water, this all the water will come down in a different glass, and the sand particles will remain here upside. So this process will be called the filtration. What do we call this? This process will be called the filtration process. So are you getting all about the separation, sedimentation, decantation and filtration? Separation means separation of the different layers. Sedimentation means settling down of the heavier particles, like in that case the sand particles were settled down. Okay, decantation means when we slowly pour this tumbler into another one, the up one layer comes in the second one tumbler, so this is known as the decantation. And filtration means separating of the sand particles from the water particles using a filter, like a funnel, or you can take there the filter paper. Okay, so this process will be called the filtration. So no need to write about this, only this much you have to know, because when we'll move ahead in this in the next chapter, so there we would be reading about this in detail. Okay, right now only this much you have to read here. So this is all about in this chapter. Okay, so now we will move to the next one. Till then, stay tuned and keep watching